and I believe we're live. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Patrick Coffin, host of the Patrick Coffin Show, and the co-founder of Coffin Nation. This is the kind of thing we do all the time. This is me, by the way, the one waving. This is a live stream which normally appears only inside Coffin Nation. You can check out coffinnation.com and find out what you've been missing all this time. We're going to do our year review in the warm pool of dog vomit called the year 2020 with one of my favorite guests, outstanding priest of the Diocese of La Crosse, Wisconsin, Father James Altman, whom I finally got to meet in beautiful San Diego about a week ago. Father Jim, welcome back.
Am I allowed to talk yet?
Yes, I've been giving you an apostolic
I'm just being quiet.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was agreeing with you. Yes, I had the real privilege of being in your company last. I was just talking about it with somebody today because I was explaining the magic tricks that still have me baffled. And don't tell me how it happened. I don't want to know. I just think it's magic.
You made me nervous at explaining the magic tricks. I thought, what? That's against the code.
No, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to leave us in the mystery and the awe.
Exactly, and to inculcate childlike wonder, like the patron of magic is St. John Bosco. Most people don't know that magicians have a patron saint. So one of the things that St. Bosco would do to gather a crowd would be to start a magic effect, like a busker would do to gather a crowd. So I'd like to start with one. Now, you and I didn't set this up. You have no idea what's coming, right?
No, I know. No, this is all news to me. No.
Okay, so this is something that I can do on live TV. I can't quite do it on radio because it's very visual. So it involves 4 cards. All right, let's start this way. And I'm not gonna take the cards out of frame, so you won't suspect I'm swapping them out. So I want you to. I'm going to turn my head, but just mentally, and you and the audience at home, do the same thing. So think of one of those cards.
Okay.
Just bring to mind one. Okay.
Yep.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to try to hack into what you're thinking now and take out the right card. Okay. I think I got it. Yeah, I think this is the one you're thinking. I think I've removed it.
It's gone.
It's gone, right?
It's gone.
Thank you. I'm here all week. It would have been so awkward if it hadn't worked. All right, so hey.
Can I just say, so I remember you put this card down flat on the table ahead of me, and I can see it the whole time, and somehow you make this card up here, and they traded places.
I remember it well.
They couldn't see the cards in the camera.
Oh, someone said they couldn't see the cards in the camera? What?
Lorraine said we can't see them.
Oh, man. You know what?
I saw it perfectly from my end.
So how could Father see it perfectly? All right, tell you what, let's do this again. We're getting complaints from the peanut gallery. All right.
Okay. Okay,
you got one?
I've got one.
All right. I think it's this.
It's gone.
It's gone again, right? I did it twice?
The one I chose isn't there.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Enough of the voodoo. So, if you're just joining us, I had a great conversation with Father Jim on September, I think it was September 29th. It's episode number 199. And so if you want to find out more about the story that, well, I think the best way to say it is to say it happened on a Tuesday. That was Tuesday, May 12th. And the lockdown was totally locked in. And you woke up that day and not intending to be an internet sensation or, anything, because you kind of came out of left field. But what was the chip replacement moment that happened on that Tuesday where you realized that the Holy Spirit is on the air, but the message has to be really clear about what discipleship means, about how we're supposed to operate in this quasi-police state lockdown? Do you remember waking up that day, or was it just like a normal day?
It was a normal day, but at this point, of course, we've been into this lockdown for about 2 months, and I was getting sick and tired of some of the shepherds of the church denying people the sacraments. denying them. We have one job to do. I just get mad when I think about it. One job. And it's not making sure somebody doesn't get a cough. It's to make sure our souls are sanctified in case we die. And if it's, like I've always said, listen, if it was a fraction as dangerous as it might suggest when you have a global lockdown, all the more reason why your churches better be open and your priests better be giving out the sacraments. And how dare any shepherd, any of them, deny the people baptism and confession and holy Eucharist. Well, so what set the tone that day?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's built up for 2 months because I'm getting pretty fed up with it. And they don't. Some of them don't seem to get that the people are feeling abandoned, lost, and they're not doing their job. So 2 months of that built up, and then one day that was a Tuesday. I saw an article that said a bishop had to someone Holy Communion because I think they were kneeling, and so that just sort of spontaneously something came out of me of a great criticism, and they're not used to that. So that's what got all the attention to begin with, and then it just kind of, I guess it got attention, and it completely caught me by surprise because I wasn't saying anything I never said for like 12 years as a priest. It just so happens that somehow there was like only 45 people watching. Then all of a sudden, somebody said, "Hey, you got to see this," and well, the rest, you know the rest.
Yeah. Just one sec here.
Next thing you know, I'm sitting across the table from you, and you perform a magic trick.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm moving, and you told me not to move.
That's all right. It's very moving. The Holy Spirit's moving. Boy, I think a lot of normal people, Father, this is why it's important that you and I are able to have this conversation and that others can join in on it. Because if all you do is read all the alphabet soup cable stations, from CNN, obviously, now Fox News, or what I call faux news, every news,
that's what it's become.
Every newspaper in America, then you're going to be frightened, you're going to be full of anxiety, and you're going to be open to whatever the oligarchs tell you is their solution. And one of the forms of that solution is arriving is in the vaccine. How many people have to die, have to have heart attacks, have to faint on live TV, have to develop Bell's palsy for ordinary people to go, wait a second, we're not being told the full truth here. How is it that I can walk into any grocery store and I can handle carrots and Brussels sprouts, apples, but to go to Mass and receive the body, blood, soul, and divinity of the divine Son of God, everybody has to be minimum number, and you have to wear full hazmat gear. Now, that's actually just half hyperbole. I've seen bishops and priests with masks and the visors and gloves.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Seeing a priest with
evil.
Gloves on, it's like a demonic making
Did
fun.
you hit a button?
No, he can't hear me now. Let's try this.
He can't?
Not
Can you
yet.
hear me now? Let me know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there
Check.
you're back.
Okay, I'm
you're
back. Yeah, it's almost like, by the way, the enemy will tamper with things when we start talking about important things. This happens all the time. It's almost like mocking the power of the sacraments. You know, one of the Christmas gifts I got was the Catechism of the Council of Trent, the Roman Catechism.
Oh, nice. This was one right up there.
Oh, it's just fine wine. Not a word wasted. It's just so thick with truth, and it's very accessible, and it was written for ordinary priests to help their preaching. And one of the things that it does in summarizing the Council of Trent is that it emphasizes that the sacraments are necessary for salvation.
Exactly.
Just say it again. The sacraments are necessary for salvation. So when I hear priests or bishops or deacons talking about welcome to the new normal and let's have Mass online, I think, no, this is not normal. This is an atomized, digitized, discarnate, Protestantized version of the Catholic faith. It's not material. There's nothing in person about it. And I tried one day. I tried Easter Sunday to participate. I hated it. I didn't like watching someone else receive. And my image, and I don't want to, this is only meant to be factual. The feeling that I got was that I'm hungry and I'm forced by my father to stand on the sidewalk and look in the bakery while he eats.
Right. That is a great analogy, and it tells you how sick it is. Listen, here's the thing. You don't need Fauci. Rubio just ripped on him because he's lying again.
Yeah.
You don't need Fauci. You don't need any scientist on the face of this planet as a Catholic bishop to tell you what you're supposed to do with your flock. Their power, their authority ends at our front door. And nothing is more important than those sacraments. And for them to deny people it, it cannot be from God, because God Almighty would never deny people the very thing He established for their salvation.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not from God, where does it come from? It's from hell, the bowels of hell. Every decision to deny a person the sacraments is a decision from hell, which tells you a lot about the people who denied them the sacraments. Mm-hmm. This is not rocket science. This is fact.
One of the things go ahead.
Yeah. They're going to stand before Jesus one day and his mother and say, "But how you had one job to do, and you were afraid." Courage doesn't come from, or cowardice doesn't come from heaven. Courage does.
Yeah. Be
a little courageous, shepherds of the church. Those who seem to cower. I heard there was. Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
I hear in one place, where it's forbidden to speak my name because they're offended by the fact that I call out their failure to shepherd the people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't that communism? Let's silence the one who speaks. Listen, if I'm wrong, go show me the facts, and I will be the first to say, "Oh yeah, I got that wrong," and I'm sorry, because the last thing I want to do is say something wrong. But when it comes to the truth of our salvation, nothing else matters but our salvation. And life on earth is short, as you well know. We've all lost people we love. Life is short. Eternity is a very long time. We have one job to do, to prepare the people for eternity. So I'm just so disgusted. It's no wonder people have left the church. It's no wonder. They still don't get it.
Yeah. And
they're still locking it down.
And sadder is the number of sheeple who think that the elites have their best interest in mind.
Yeah. Where did they get that from? Remember that old joke? We're about the same age. I think I'm older than you. Remember the joke? I'm from the government and I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
It was a joke because we knew they weren't here to help us.
Yeah. That's it.
Fauci has our best interests in mind. Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, well, Fauci, I don't know how you get these guys that never lose their jobs. He's had his position since 1984, and has a lot of dead homosexuals on his hands who had AIDS. And he gave them AZT. This is a sequel to the AIDS crisis. The same ballooning of figures, the same strategy of fear, the same presumption that AIDS is on every surface, and which is why my wife and I started this. We had one summit called Truth Over Fear. We're going to do another one on April 2nd and 3rd, focusing on the vaccine and the corruption in the clinical trials. If you want to be called, it's funny, Father Jim, there's some issues that if you raise the slightest eyebrow, you get instantly tagged as a conspiracy theorist. Whether it's whether Oswald is the one shooter or shot Kennedy at all, or whether you think a certain military operation was a false flag, or vaccines. It's it's like the perfect storm. Oh, you're a crazy anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Well, why can't you just be critical of some aspects of it? Why can't you warn people about actual dangers? And why doesn't every CEO, starting with Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, why don't all the CEOs get the shot? And I don't mean the turn of the corner nonsense shot. I want to see the needle go in. Do them first. Congressman, let's do every bishop who says that we have an obligation.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't. That's a medical prudential decision that's best left up to individuals and parents.
Exactly. Have I told you before? So when an attorney stood in front of our priestly gathering twice a year, which has been canceled the last 2 times because of fear, he stood in front of us and he said, "It is, what's the word? It's unconscionable for you to not to require vaccines for kids in your Catholic schools.
Yeah.
I said, wait just a second here. 96% of the kids are vaccinated. And if they work, they have no complaint. I could come cough in their face. That sounds like your name. I could do that. And they can't get sick because they've had the vaccine. So 96% do not have any complaints against the 4% who choose not to poison their bodies with vaccine. And then the 4%, it's assumption of risk. If I don't want to get the vaccine, I might get sick. I might even die. My choice. It's my body, my choice. My temple of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So this whole business about, as I just saw, there was a bishop in this country who said, no child will be allowed in Catholic schools unless he gets his COVID vaccine. Listen,
it's astounding.
Bishop,
astounding.
you don't have the right to say that. How dare he? What kind of elitist arrogance does he have that he dares even say something like that to a parent of a child? Listen, Bishop, your job is for their soul. And those parents that want to get it, go right ahead. Those that don't, no worries because they assume the risk.
Yeah, same with the mask.
Elitism? Elitism? What's the word? Is that it?
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Oligarchic control. So the 1 or 2% controlling the 98%'s behavior. Yeah. The mask, to me, is a kind of advanced dress rehearsal for compliance on the vaccine. Masks
That's
are
exactly right.
They're useless. Everyone knows they don't.
They're completely useless. So I had a doctor tell me just like in the last couple of days. Yeah, but if you're pop and there's like liquid, like I don't know what other word is that you use for that, and it gets on the mask, it stops that from going out. I said, oh, just a second here. When that evaporates, the little germy things are still there. And when the breathing is in and out, those little germy things are going out into, and he said, yeah, I guess that's right. Never thought of that.
Right.
The masks do not work. Listen, if they worked, after 4 months of having mandatory masking in Wisconsin, it should have been eradicated because in 14 days, it should all be gone, right?
Right.
If the lockdown worked, I think we talked about this. If the lockdown worked, why are we having another one? And if it didn't work, why are we having another one? Same for the mask. If the mask worked, we wouldn't be seeing this big spike. And the funny thing is we're out in your neck of the woods, California, one of the most masking states ever, and they're having all these spikes, or at least we're told all these cases, but it has nothing to do with deaths. And it's a big lie. They've inflated the numbers. They're a bunch of liars, and it's from hell.
Yeah, cases.
That's the commandment.
There's a whole bunch of new words that cropped up. Cases, dire, spike, infection, outbreak. That's just the language of fear.
Super spreader. Kids are super spreaders.
Super spreader, right. Now,
super spreader events.
Antifa.
Family gathers for Thanksgiving dinner.
Right, but Antifa BLM rally, not a super spreader.
No problem. Right.
There's a growing number of Protestant pastors that I've come to admire greatly. One of them is in Windsor, Ontario. There's a GoFundMe for him. I don't remember his name offhand. I could probably find it out. Maybe someone can tell me. He's saying, no, I'm fed up. I'm done. Christian worship is essential service. You got Pastor John MacArthur out here in Southern California. Now, these are men without sacraments to defend, and they're willing to sue the government. They're willing to stand up.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good question. How did this ever happen? How did a whole group of I hesitate to say many, no matter what I'm thinking, but how did so many of them get to this point where they're going to deny people sacraments? How do they not understand Jesus gave us this visible means for the invisible grace we must have for our eternal salvation?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how this happened.
I think
I do know it's from hell.
I think it goes to a saying I heard. I don't know who said this, but it's about a crisis. A crisis doesn't create character; it reveals it. So this has been, speaking of the mask analogy, this has been one big mask removal, right?
Yeah.
If I see a grown man in his car with the windows up with a mask on,
yeah,
I feel like rolling down the window. I should do this one day and see what happens. Yes, sir. Yeah. You're dead to me. Like,
I know.
Why are you doing this? And if you don't take a stand, and if we don't take our freedom back, they're going to keep taking more and more and more. This is why you've got
just a start.
Yeah. So stop wearing your masks.
Yeah.
Let
Well, how about this? How about all small businesses get together? It would only take about 8%, and that's not that many. Just walk en masse to, where's Sacramento? Is that where Newsom, that loser, that's where he is? To walk in there and say, we are displacing you as governor of California because you're not governing the people. You are the enemy of the people. Newsom, you are the enemy of the people.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask? I don't know what, because those people are at risk of their entire livelihoods, their lifetime's work. Because I just saw this on the news today. It says the government has destroyed your livelihood, and then they're demanding that, and then they won't give you any money. They'll give the money to, I don't know, where was it, Pakistan? They were giving money to, and
we've gone from.
They won't give it to you. So, or if they do, they take from you, they destroy you, and then they say, well, just follow me, and I'll give you a handout. That's what that whole latest round is. It's just a handout, get people dependent on the government to make it. Well, it's a socialist communist thing.
Yeah, it is. The people who created the fear and produced the fear product, lo and behold, arrived with the solution to the fear product in the shape of a shiny metal object called $600.
Right?
Isn't it? We look back in April. It was somehow we went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to let's give Pakistan 1.2 billion.
I know. How did that happen? What is going on? It's madness.
I want to turn to some all people around the world watching. They got some good, some Coffin Nation folks as well. First of all,
can I just quick ask? Because I'm really hot. Can I take off my sweater? Do you mind?
No, we insist that you keel over from heat exhaustion. Go ahead.
I am actually roasting. I was freezing earlier today because I told you I was out in the cold, and so I was just trying to get warm. Now I'm just roasting. So thank you.
All right, cool.
All right.
Proper temperature. I watched the movie Beckett last night. I hadn't seen it for years with Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton as St. Thomas Becket.
Yeah.
It's a very well done movie. It's from a play by Jean Anouilh, 1961. And yesterday, the President of the United States issued I've never seen any president do this, a proclamation honoring the, forget what it was, 900th or 800th anniversary of his death. And it's so well written. You just Google it. It's all over the place. Because Thomas Becket is he's the Archbishop for our times.
Right. Yes.
Protecting the rights, defending the honor and rights of God and the Church.
That's where they turn the candles upside down and squash them into the.
Yeah.
Isn't that it?
That's
that big
That's
scene
the
of
one.
excommunication.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And his conversion from total libertine, he goes from whoring and wenching and drinking to standing up to his longtime friend because God gave him the grace to be who he is. It's an amazing movie. How much of all this anxiety do you think, Father Jim, is and yes, we're going to get to the Great Reset too, I'm sure, is a function of
somebody telling you that, hey, got to get to that topic.
No, we'll get there. It's because it's a piece in that puzzle. How much of the anxiety is feared by just the naked human common fear of death?
So I think that May 12th, I think that's how that all started out on May 12th. Because I said, so I prepared the homily and I was just getting ready. I was getting cleaned up in the shower and these thoughts came to me. That's exactly what it was. It was people are afraid of dying. Now if we're faithful, we think, okay, well, it's going to happen sooner or later. But when it happens, hopefully, if I'm in a state of grace, I'm going to a better place. So so why do people have this? I mean, we've always been a little, queasy about the idea, the process, perhaps whether there really is something on the great beyond. If there's nothing it's like Pascal's wager. If there's nothing on the great beyond, you haven't lost anything. But if there is and you don't believe, then you're toast. Better to even just take a chance on believing, because if you won't even know it if it isn't there, but if it is there and you believe, eternity. So so people have gotten away. There's this morbid fear of getting sick and of dying. They understand the human psyche that has been created over the years now by the loss of faith. There's such a loss of faith in the country, in the majority now.
Yeah.
That, of course, if you don't have faith, you don't have hope. St. Paul said that in what comes next. So it's just a faithlessness, and they exploit the faithlessness. First, they create faithlessness because they've created all the immorality since '68, and when they criticized Humanae Vitae, shepherds of the church, fake shepherds of the church. So when you do that, you fundamentally destroy the faith, because they are mutually exclusive events, right? The truth and the anti-truth. And so what they've done now, because they've normalized immorality in every way, shape, or form, they've undermined and utterly destroyed faith. So with no faith, no hope, and what you do have in place of hope is fear. And now they're exploiting it. Oh yeah, they figured that one out, because they're evil.
Yeah.
Satan knows our tendencies, and he knows that when it's time to strike, and he's struck hard. Somebody's saying it was just like the the white horse of the apocalypse pours out the pestilences. Who knows?
Yeah. On the other hand, there's I think it's in Mandarin, the two Chinese characters for crisis are made up of danger and chance. So you can depending on your perspective, you can look at this as a new opportunity to grow in friendship with Christ and to learn the deposit of faith, irrespective of who happens to be sitting on the chair in Rome. Pope Francis is a totally different topic, but I wanted to ask you. This is something that came up as a theme in our COVID-19 Great Reset, COVID-19 Summit. Is the role of this pandemic in this Great Reset? Now, Great Reset. If you said that 2 years ago, what? What are you, tiny, pointy, tinfoil hat guy? Now it's hidden on the cover of books, like Dr. Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum founder, CEO.
Exactly.
It's called COVID-19, The Great Reset, hiding in plain sight. You get asked about this?
Have I what? Have I been asked?
Yeah.
Not enough. Like, most people are just oblivious to this. So much so that they're just bold, the bad guys, in proclaiming it. And so, here's where this is how widespread it is. So the Great Reset is to build back better.
Build
so
back better.
Biden's got that as his, when you looked at him in his mask on the screen, creating fear. I don't want him for a leader. If he's such a coward, he has to wear that mask. Anyway, he's got Build Back Better. And what did I hear coming out of Rome? A document with Build Back Better,
Build Back Better. Yeah.
So if you're building back, it means you destroyed it in the first place, and then you're building it back as what? What's better? In their mind, what they're trying to tell us is everybody has the same amount of wage. It's communism.
It is communism.
They're destroying the free market and building it back. You talked about this before, how they use words. And so they're saying build back, not worse, build back better. Because you hear the big lie often enough, you believe it. We've known this in propaganda since day one. So, the Great Reset is nothing other than it's the same thing as saying build back better, is the same thing as saying you're a raging communist from hell. That's actually true. Yeah,
when you see that phrase appear in Pope Francis' Twitter feed, it's distressing, because he seems to be a cheerleader for all of it. He's the oligarch's best friend. He's partnered with her name is Lady Lynn Forrester Rothschild. She's organized 27 oligarchic organizations, corporations, including the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation. These are not the Friends of Humanity. These are zero population people. And she said in an interview, I answered the call of Pope Francis, which obviously to Jesus-loving Catholics does not compute at all. Really unimaginable under John Paul II. Am I right?
You are. This is where I get myself into trouble, but you're 100% correct. That would never be under JP2 nor Benedict, because both of them understood the evil of communism. The last 10 popes, the last 10 vicars of Christ. I was reading Space Solving, and at the very title of it, it goes, the Supreme Pontiff. Well, that's just another one of the titles that got thrown out here in this past year.
Yep.
No longer Supreme Pontiff. We can all use subsidiarity, I think is the word. So each little individual fiefdom can make their own rules. Listen, no, there's one truth. Truth is the same in all, however many dioceses there are in the world. There's like 5,000 bishops. The truth is the same for all 5,000 bishops. No bishop gets to make up the truth. And so this,
Yeah, no,
was
that
addressing what you said.
it does. No, it does. Inside Coffin Nation, I just did a report that's going to drop. What is today? Wednesday, tomorrow, and I talk about the head of the German Bishops' Conference.
Yeah.
Bostink, his name is. Almost never wears a Roman collar. This is the president of the German Bishops' Conference. Wants to have a public blessing of homosexual unions, not marriage, of course, but we have to be open to this, and perhaps even convene a synodal council to discuss the question. Now, synodal is another one of this word salad. The word synod, no one used this word 5 years ago. It just was kind of created, manufactured, and I think it's code for Protestant.
Yeah.
Synodal means localized, decentralized, grab your
Personal
sincerity and
interpretation.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to. Personal. There's a joke. It goes, there's a shortage of vocation to the priesthood, but there's not a shortage to the vocation to the papacy, because everybody wants to be their own little pope.
Right.
Including some of the shepherds of the church want to have their own individual authority to establish truth, like with the Canadians in the Winnipeg Statement. Aren't you from Canada?
I'm from Canada. I wrote about this in my book, Sex and Natural. It's one of the biggest mistakes the bishops ever made.
Listen, if it's true in America, if it's true in Rome, how in the world do the Canadian bishops think it's not true in Canada?
Yeah.
That is exactly the mindset that has destroyed the faith, and for which they would have been better off with the great millstone. They're going to burn in hell for that. In fact, I think some of them already are, because you know what? They're dead. And they did not recant and try to fix the damage they caused.
Yeah, they came close.
To say it. I'm not.
For folks who don't know what Father Jim and I are talking about, in September of 1968, the Canadian bishops issued this document called the Winnipeg Statement. It has no official weight, but they put it out there, and it essentially tried to find a loophole. It's number 26 of that document, tries to find a loophole through the freight train known as conscience. And they misquote Vatican II on the role of conscience. They call it the primacy of conscience, which is not Catholic teaching. And so what did Catholic couples in Canada conclude? Oh, well, golly, if I pray and study and do my best and I still dissent, I can do so in good conscience. And in 1973, they kind of corrected it by putting out a statement on conscience, which was actually very good, very, very good. But they've never publicly renounced it. So a lot of work to be done. And so because the bishops entered into this great truce in which they didn't say themselves that they thought the teaching was wrong, but they refused to discipline seminary professors, priests, or fellow bishops who dissented. And that's the great truce, and truces are not good. A vow is good. A commitment is good. Obviously, a sacrament is good. But a truce is a compromise with evil. And we're still...
And the proof is in the pudding, because look at where the Catholic Church, such as, I use that loosely in reference to so much of the Canadians. But when you have the country's leader talking about the big reset and build back better, he's right on board with the rest of the globalists, and the Canadians still vote him in. Although maybe they have a little problem with Dominion machines up there too. Who knows?
Yeah, he's a Prime Minister Trudeau is a big fan of communist Chinese procedure and policy.
Yes.
He doesn't hide it. So, my gosh, we've got a mountain.
So I didn't mean to rip on your homeland.
Oh, that's okay. It's the truth is the truth.
I stand on guard for thee. I do. I love Canada.
Well, you better not quote the rest of the lyrics to "Oh Canada," because if you do, you're a bad person. They've changed the lyric. Did you know they changed the lyrics, right?
They did.
Oh Canada. Yeah, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all thy sons command has been changed to, I think, in all our hearts command, something really lame. All right, enough of that. Okay, good to have a Canadian reference, whether it's Tim Hortons or hockey. We're good. Lorraine Thibault. I think people are asking about the sound glitch, which... Oh, here we go. Marilyn Kohlmeyer. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine. It was only that about 7-8 seconds.
Yeah. I was actually doing that warble with my voice. I hope you're impressed. No. Marilyn Kohlmeyer says, I want to start with Coffin Nation members to honor them. I'm concerned that people who are attending Mass at home by watching their TVs are being conditioned to adore their TVs. What do you think?
I think we've been adoring our TV. You asking me?
Yeah,
I think we've been
this is
adoring
for
our
you.
TVs since the 60s. There used to be this phrase. I'm not sure if it was in Canada. But we used to call it the boob tube because it was like it made you stupid.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, way back in the 70s, late 70s, we read this book called the Plug-in Drug. Have you heard of this?
No, I thought you were going to say Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television by Jerry Manders. Similar.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what they did is scientists tested our bodies and determined that the way our bodies reacted to watching TV was exactly as if you just took a handful of Quaaludes. So it becomes addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for some reason I've hated TV all along. Not because of content. I just don't like the way it makes me feel, bodily wise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
but most people are just addicted to it, and so that's why you know that joke about the Amish. Why hasn't the COVID affected the Amish? And they said because we don't have TV.
Interesting. Marshall McLuhan used to write about the difference between watching TV and watching a movie, and it has to do with the deceptive nature of the light pixelation patterns on a TV screen and on a computer screen. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of pixelated points of light, whereas a film is different. Film is the light through the medium of film, sometimes digital, sometimes cellophane, depending on how old the theater is, and you're looking at a much cleaner print image. It's not the same. Doesn't have the same effect on you, independent of content.
Right.
So, okay. So,
did we answer that question? I don't even know did I get off track of that question?
No, you didn't.
Something
you
about the TV.
Yeah, no, just on Worship the TV.
Okay, yes, they do.
Yeah, and
well,
I
because
recommend.
it's part of the bread and circuses. The TV has become the entertainment, especially when we're locked at home.
Yeah.
And you can't go out. Oh, don't go out. Don't go be with people. Don't go to the beach. Don't go to the park. Sit home and watch TV?
Yeah.
Holy Moses.
And I recommend, if you're still paying money to Netflix, you're not really paying attention. Netflix is a child porn producer. If you don't believe it, watch the trailer. Even the touched up, domesticated, edited version of the trailer for a movie called Cuties. This is a pedophile's dream film, and it's going to win Oscars. It is child porn. It's the sexualization of our young daughters. And the Brazil version of Netflix had a gay Jesus. I even hate saying these words. So if you like blasphemy, and if you like ideas that destroy your family, then keep paying Netflix every month. You notice this? I don't know if you have Amazon, but streaming like Amazon, those kind of companies pepper their programming with COVID propaganda. They'll show beep, 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 the slow pan of someone in a hospital bed. Basically, stay fearful, wear your mask, stay home. So it's a closed loop. Watching TV confirms what the elites are trying to impose externally. It all gets confirmed by what you see in your TV. So I'm a big fan of killing your TV.
There's that phrase: control the media, control the message, control the message, control the people. And so this is how propaganda works, and they've known this forever. But most people are just so blissfully unaware, and they have drunk so much Kool-Aid that listen, I'm not optimistic about humanity and where this is all going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the least bit optimistic. Only divine intervention is going to fix this now, and it's a divine intervention. It never goes well for many people when the divine has to intervene because we so screwed things up.
Yeah. It's like it's on a macro scale. Wait till your father comes home.
Yeah, right. Yes, that is brilliantly put.
No one ever puts "wait till mommy comes home." Vive la différence. Yvette Weilacher asks a very interesting question, and I talk about this in the Coffin Report, Inside Coffin Nation. I'll read it exactly as she wrote it to you. What do you think about the Pope announcing the year of St. Joseph, protector of the church and terror of demons? Then the second part is someone suggested that Pope Francis might resign. Is that related? Maybe. But the first part, on December 8th, he did call for a year devoted to St. Joseph, and I understand, I haven't read it, but I get that his document on St. Joseph is quite well written. He doesn't write his own stuff, obviously, but piggybacking on that, and I hope Yvette forgives me, he also, starting on March 19th, which is the Feast of St. Joseph, wants to
Right.
have another year devoted to the norms of Amoris Laetitia. Did you know that?
Yes, I saw that.
Back to back, overlapping years. On the one hand, he's importing traditional St. Joseph piety. On the other hand, he's through the side door. I mean, it was written 5 years ago. At that time, it'll be 6. Why is he revisiting this controversial document, which in number 8 in the footnotes seems to clearly indicate divorced and remarried Catholics can, in some circumstances, receive Holy Communion?
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Why is he resurrecting it?
Yeah.
Yeah. If Satan comes at us, and be careful how I put this, but so that we can understand how things work here, if Satan came at us looking as evil as Satan is, nobody would ever go down that road.
Yeah.
But what he does, he comes at us as he did Adam and Eve in the garden. He holds out something that's seemingly good and says, here, take this. You certainly will not die. Well, some of the stuff that comes out is suspiciously like a viper in the garden saying, oh, go ahead. You certainly will not die.
Yeah.
I've said this before, and I think this is a fair statement. I'm not Catholic because of Pope St. John Paul II, because of Pope Benedict, or because of Pope Francis. And I'm not Catholic because of any of them. I'm Catholic because there's 2,000 years of the unchanged, unchangeable truth. So somebody comes up, modernist, and all the modernaires comes up with some ideas that it's not just controversial, it's heresy.
Mm-hmm.
It's utter and complete misrepresentation, insidiously so, of the truth of the faith that is unchanged and unchangeable. So why is this going on? Nobody liked that in the first place. 5 years ago, nobody liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And the confusion confusion is not from heaven.
Yeah.
Because you've heard me say it. Jesus did not go through the passion and death on the cross to leave us confused about what constitutes the way, not the privileged way. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
The one and only way. So when a document spreads confusion, bad news, bad. I don't need to read it. I've got 2,000 years of the unchangeable truth I can read, like Spe Salvi, for instance.
Yeah, that was the first encyclical by Benedict,
Pontiff.
right?
What's that?
That was Benedict's first encyclical, Spe Salvi, or one of them.
Was it his first one?
One of them.
It's one of them, but yeah.
Okay, hope that was a help, Yvette. Thank you. Margot says, condoms on your face this time. I wonder, you know what? Some people would.
That word?
Yeah, she did. She's a very bad person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think this is, I'm a big fan of parody. I love Monty Python's Flying Circus. I like a lot of Ricky Gervais. I love parody. There's a certain percentage of the population, you know this is true, Father Jim. If Fauci said you have to wear condoms now, people would do it. Some would do it. If you had to jump up and down on one leg and say the word ecky thump, some lemming is going to do that because a doctor said so.
But remember when Trump was he wasn't being serious, but the left wing went all bananas when he said something about drink bleach or something, whatever it was, something, I can't remember. It's something that was really not good for you, and he knew it. He was simply being sarcastic. And of course, how dare a president say something like that? Well, how dare you misinterpret the meaning of what he said? Right.
Margot rightly points out, I went a little too quickly on the dates for the summit. It's not, as it turns out, it's not going to be April 2nd and 3rd, but stay tuned. Thank you, Margot.
Okay.
I love people around me who are detail-oriented. I need them.
Yes, me too.
Nathan Carr, another Coffinationista. Nathan says, in the great Peoria, by the way, home of?
Where?
Peoria, Illinois.
Fulton Sheen.
Fulton Sheen, amen.
Wasn't he from there?
Okay, yeah, he was. Although he was born in El Paso, Illinois. Okay, here's the question. People need to be, it's more of a statement, need to be under authority. If the church doesn't exercise her God-given authority, people will run to the arms of government tyrants to be under some kind of authority.
Yeah. Or we see that good. 1 Samuel 8, right? And the people crying, they need a king, because everybody around them has a king. and they think they need a king to defend them from everybody around them. They needed the government to protect them.
Yeah.
That's never been a good idea.
Right.
So Samuel tried to convince him, no, listen, God has said, he's told me to tell you that if you get a king, he's going to do A, B, C, D, and E. He's going to take your sons and put them in the army. He's going to take your daughters and he's going to make them like slaves. He's going to tax you till the cows come home. Okay? He's do all these bad things. No, so you don't want a king. Oh, no, we have to have a king, say the people.
Yeah.
So Samuel says this to God, and God says, okay, this is what you tell him. You're going to get your king, all right? You are going to get your king, and you're going to be so sorry about it. And when you complain and cry to me about it, too bad. I'm not going to listen. That's almost like, that's a paraphrase. It's 100% accurate. Not going to listen. On that day, I'm not listening to you. What I'm going to say is, I told you so. So that's what's going on.
Yep. Nathan follows up. I want to get a T-shirt made that says "Super Spreader." That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how the libs would freak out?
They would.
If you walked through there with a super spreader all over your shirt. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, with no mask, especially.
Yeah, tell that guy thank you for that fun suggestion.
Thanks, Nathan. You got it. No, as he wrote this a couple minutes ago, 26 minutes ago. He said this: "Wear it in public and watch heads explode."
Yeah.
All right, so I'm a little behind here. Lorraine Thibault calls Gavin calls him Nancy Nuisance. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Chris Castagnola. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Much needed.
Hey,
Thank you.
Can you answer this question for me? Because maybe you'll answer for everybody else.
What?
How does he still have a job?
In no other.
Why hasn't there been an insurrection by Americans?
There is.
And just ordinary citizens just saying, you know what? No. Just no.
Yeah. There's a move to recall him. I think it's called recallgavin.com. If you're listening and you're in California, you can do it. I think 800,000 signatures.
It didn't matter where you were. I should be, according to the last election rules, I should be able to vote.
You should, yeah. Well, only if you're dead, then you're good.
Only if I'm dead.
Yeah, or weren't born here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. A lot of scenes from. I'm trying to get to a question rather than a statement here. Lorraine says all this is related to the Great Regress. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, Matt. Questions are being taken. Lorraine Thibault says Pope Francis didn't want to have to live up to the title, the Vicar of Christ, anymore. Might explain.
Well, he's the one that threw it out.
Yeah, he threw it out.
In the 2020 directory, if I understand, fact check me on this. He's thrown out Vicar of Christ. He's thrown out Supreme Pontiff. And now it literally says in the annual yearbook of the Vatican, Bishop of Rome, Jorge Bergoglio.
It does. That's fact check.
Is that
true.
Correct?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Pope Benedict on Space Off, he called himself the Supreme Pontiff.
Right.
That's why they hated him, the libs.
Right. I want to get here some more here.
I'm hearing like water sounds, like waves crashing on the beach.
I'm on a raft about a half a mile off the coast. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's little. I guess I think one of us is near a stadium and they keep applauding in the background. Okay. Gilles Normando from near Winnipeg says, "I'm a pathogen-carrying disease vector." There's a T-shirt idea for the ages.
That's a T-shirt idea. Okay, I'm going to write that down. That was so good. I'm writing that down.
That was good. Pathogen-carrying disease vector. Merci beaucoup, Gilles. Gilles Normando. I'm a pathogen-carrying disease vector.
Pathogen-carrying disease vector. Okay, got it.
Terrific.
Yeah. So merci beaucoup. The guy up there, wherever.
Yeah, Gilles. Yep. Matthew David Shadrax. Robert Hugh Benson has something to say about that. Funny that.
Lord of the World.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that book today, Lord of the World. Yeah. Which
I actually have. Somebody just sent it to me, but I think I already had 2 copies and I read it. You know this.
What?
Michael O'Brien. Isn't that his name?
That's Michael O'Brien's name.
No, but he's a Canadian writer.
He is, yeah. I know Michael.
He wrote Father Elijah. So I've got that whole shelf right up there It's all
Okay.
Michael O'Brien books. And I'll tell you that Father Elijah really speaks to this time
Yeah.
of exactly what's going on. That guy was brilliant.
I was.
Is maybe still alive, I think.
Yeah, no, he is. He's a very wise and holy man. I know Michael. If you're out there, hey Mike. I had a crack at adapting it.
Come one day, I hope I get to meet him.
Okay, shall do. His son is Father John O'Brien, a Jesuit priest up in Canada.
Oh, how's that working for him?
Painfully, but good. I'm sure. I wrote a screenplay treatment for Columbia Studios to adapt Father Elijah into a movie.
By the way, so I can just say
Yeah.
that wasn't a critique of Father O'Brien. I was genuinely meaning he's probably suffering.
Oh no,
because the good ones.
Yeah, that's how I took it, for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so Father Elijah, it would be very difficult. I pitched it. Do you know the actor Ben Kingsley?
Yes.
Yeah, he played Gandhi.
Well, he was going to play the part.
I pitched it to him at a cocktail party at the Oscars. Here, I'm both name and location dropping now, but it's a 608-page book. I think it would be very, very hard to adapt. But it's prophetic. It kind of speaks to our time.
They adapted Lord of the Rings. That's
true.
3 books of 600 pages.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They ruined The Hobbit, by the way. They just destroyed that.
Yeah, I was iffy on it. I know this is mortal sin. I've tried to have Tolkien land on me, and it just hasn't taken. I don't know why. I've tried. I read the book The Hobbit to my girls, so I was a fan of that. But remember, I think it was The Onion or maybe Babylon Bee had a parody headline: Peter Jackson to make 7 movies out of the last page of The Hobbit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that'd be it. Yep.
Okay, so let's go back here. More questions. So thank you guys. Oh, someone says, "Yay! Thanks for mentioning Michael O'Brien. Have you read Cry of Stone?" I bet the answer is yes.
Hold on. No, I don't have that one. Is it new? I thought I had pretty much all of it.
It's newer. Yeah, it's called Cry of Stone. By the way, I have smart glasses on now. Did you notice that my IQ went up because I have these glasses on?
They do look impressive. They make you look impressive.
Father Altman would enjoy Fatherless by Brian Gale. Perhaps you've heard of that book.
Nope. No, I'm writing it down. Fatherless by Brian Gale.
Yep, Brian Gale. He's got several.
I think somebody just sent that to me.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe not.
Someone named JD says the next variant will be COVID-91 or COVID-GI for gastrointestinal. We will all be forced to wear diapers. Don't give them any ideas. Whatever you do.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that's what we were wearing on our face, like a diaper. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I've had bad lungs since birth. I was born with bad lungs. And I put on that mask, and if it covers it, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Well, just right. Listen, if I topple over in your stupid store, I'm suing. How you like them out?
You'd be well just to stop wearing it and just say you're mask exempt.
Yeah.
You're exempt.
So then they say then just call your order in and we'll deliver it to your car. It just ruins the thing of going in and handling all those apples that you put back because you don't like this or that one, and the next person takes them home.
Yeah. Even I was going to take our dog to a vet a couple of months ago. And when I heard that I'd have to pay the same fee, but I'd have to stay in my car and a masked assistant would come out, take my dog, bring him in. I couldn't have a conversation with the vet.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
All right. So we found another vet who didn't force them to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Millie Farrell points out you can get a doctor's note to exempt yourself. Actually, you don't even need a doctor's note. And the reason you don't is none of this is legal. Masking, social distancing, emptying hospitals for crowds that never arrived. It's all unconstitutional. It's just.
But you saw that the police tasered that woman sitting all by herself in the stands, watching her son's football game, and this big old policeman. I love the police.
Yeah, I know.
I do. They're on my sign. I pray for them all the time. I don't know what this guy was thinking. You taser a mother at her son's game, and nobody was within 20 feet of her because she wasn't wearing a mask outside. It was a football game outside.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you say that you don't have to because it's illegal, I say, yeah, I know that it's illegal, but in the meantime, I'm getting tasered and my heart can't take it.
Yeah. And we didn't even mention the pandemic of suicide and suicidal ideation.
Nobody cares about it.
No,
And
they
it
don't.
is so
I'm glad you
overwhelming.
said that. I've put charts, I've put pie graphs, I've put medical statistics. I've had an interview with the great psychiatrist, Dr. Aaron Cariotti, who's just been drilling down deep in this. And the response to most people is, yeah, it's really interesting. Now put your mask on.
Yeah.
Brain
Right.
lock.
Morons. Okay, so if you rob a bank, what are you? A bank robber.
Bank robber,
Right.
yep.
If you do bad things to children, you're a molester, right?
Yep.
If you act like a moron, what are you? You're a moron. Right? You are
Yeah.
what you do. You become what you practice. So I used to have this. The kids loved it. Occasionally, the parents objected. Oh, that's just wrong, Father. You can't say that. Listen. So I had this like a running thing. I called it the Daily Moron, because all you have to do is look at the headlines, and there'll be some crazy moron doing some crazy moronic things. Listen, you can't call somebody a moron. Listen, if you rob a bank, I can call you a bank robber. If you act like this is what my parents used to say to me, quit acting like you don't have a brain in your head. Same thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So
That's
it's
awesome.
moronic to insist that we wear the masks that don't work. And by the way, they cost a lot of money. The amount of money we spent on what they call it, PPE, the personal protection equipment, is that what that means? Masks, anyway.
Yeah.
Amount of money you have to spend for $1 a piece, and you're not supposed to wear them more than one day. I've tried just because it wasn't even the $1. It was that I just didn't want to go through the trouble of buying another one.
Yeah.
And it starts to smell badly. It's not healthy. But yeah,
Yeah.
I start talking about morons. But listen, it's moronic. And if you act like a moron, then what are you? You're a moron.
I'm reading a really interesting book that I'm trying to reach out to the author and have him on as a Transform You guest for Coffin Nation members. His name is James Clear. And the book's called Atomic Habits. Have you heard of this?
I think I have, but I'm writing it down.
Yeah,
James
it's
Clear,
really
Atomic
good.
Habits.
I'm really, really big into increasing productivity, personal development. And I read Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. I've read David Allen's Getting Things Done. I've read Take the Stairs by Rory, what's his name? Rory something. Drawing a blank on Rory's last name. Anyway, someone will correct me.
If I Googled it, I don't try to use Google anymore.
Rory Vader. Rory
Rory
Vader.
Vader.
Yeah, it's called
Brother?
yeah, Darth Young. Luke, I am your brother's sister-in-law. No. But James Clear's Atomic Habits is really good. And his premise is it's the cumulative effect of small little improvements. In other words, it's what you said about doing something moronic versus being a moron.
Yeah.
If you want to learn an instrument, don't think of it as, oh, I want to play the violin. Think of it as, I want to be a musician. Don't think, oh, I want to run that marathon. Think, I'm a runner.
Yes.
Don't try to finish the book. Think, I'm a reader. And that shifting from outcome-based to identity-based, that's the ticket. Because a lot of people, whether it's a pro, Mike Sweeney and I, you and I met at Mike's beautiful house with his absurdly beautiful family a couple of weeks ago. Mike and I have talked about masculine identity of athletes after they leave the pro world. And most of them go bankrupt. They have terrible, personal crises. They divorce or they become alcoholics because they thought that was it.
Yeah. Right.
Wait a second. I trained. I got up at 4 a.m. my whole life. I dieted, and then I'm on the team. Then I'm too old or I get injured. Now who am I?
You know who didn't do that? And I've been impressed since day one. That person, kudos to his parents. Eric Heiden. He wins 5 gold medals. Okay, Michael Phelps. Yeah, you've had some. You swim the 100 and you swim the 200, and you do it faster than anybody else who can swim the 100 and the 200. So you start accumulating the gold medals. But Eric Heiden did the shortest distance, the middle distances, and the longest distance. He was good at them all. He won all 5 gold medals. And wasn't it Montreal? No, it was Lake Placid. It was the same year that the U.S. team won the gold medal, 1980.
Yep.
And yet he's become a doctor for athletes. Like he fixes you if you get an athletic injury. The most humble. He does not go around I'm Eric Heiden. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if he ever hears this, tell him that. So for 40 years, I've been impressed with Eric Heiden. It's because it's not his identity. He didn't lose himself and then have to become a down on your luck, bankrupt drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't do it for the medals. You can tell.
Right.
The medals were a byproduct of what he really wanted to do.
He didn't win his medal in Montreal for himself either. He did it for his dad. He had daddy issues. Mm-hmm. So
Bruce Jenner?
He's his daddy, so he decided to become a woman.
Did you say Bruce Jenner?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've talked with a lot of folks about Bruce Jenner's. I mean, think of what it takes to get to his level of 0.5% of academic prowess. It's unbelievable how good you have to be. And no one ever talks about his mother. His father. Ever. It's a telling oversight. Okay, my gosh, more questions here. Oh, Joan Parnicano.
Hey, I met her when I was out there.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Okay, well, it's an interesting question.
I met her was it Pittsburgh? I think I first met her in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And at the CIC conference with Michael Matt's conference.
Roger that.
And then it just so happens that when I was coming out to see Mike Sweeney and you, that she sent me an email. It was just God's providence. I said, well, I'm actually coming out. So she arranged a little meeting at, it was glorious. Anyway, Nice. Hello, Joan. So, she must be listening if she's sending you a question.
She has to be, unless she too has magical powers. Here's the comment. Right. Isn't Lord of the World Francis' favorite book that he keeps or has kept by his bedside? Have you heard that? I've heard him say that. He's quoted it a couple times.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard that. But maybe it's because the Lord of the World achieves this globalism. It's godless. So, I mean, as I recall the book.
Yeah. So maybe he's recommending it for the opposite reason that most people would recommend it.
Right.
Who are serious Catholics.
George Orwell, like 1984, is my favorite book because it reveals what's going on around us. Whereas if somebody said it's my favorite book because it's what I want to have happen.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I want Big Brother. Well, and that's the problem. So why is it anyone's favorite book? Or why is any book anyone's favorite? You have to ask that question.
It's like saying, I really like Schindler's List because all those people in those concentration camps. Right? All right. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
There's the sound again.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I never didn't hear you except way early on for like 8 seconds.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to thank David Gray, who's been on this broadcast. How you doing, man?
Is it the David Gray?
David L. Gray.
That was eating popcorn while he listened to me live?
Oh, most probably. Let me find him. He's my definitely brother from another mother. David L. Gray. He's like an authority on the Masonic Lodge as well.
Okay. And he has a show like this too.
He's got a what?
Anyway, I think it's the one I'm thinking of.
David L.
Great guy.
Yep, I can't find what his question is. So let me. I got an LOL for you. You're dead to me. Yeah. What's the question? Whose show does Father Altman like be on? But here it is. You ready? No pressure. Do you like being on Coffin Nation or Talking Catholic with David L. Gray?
Did he really ask that?
He did. So King Solomon, how do you answer?
Right.
You're a bad person, David.
I like every show that spreads truth of the gospel, and I'm privileged to appear on both.
How do you like them apples, David? Another one. So thank you for that, David.
Had one of the funniest moments, though, when I don't know if it was the one, I think it was that August 30th one where I said you can't be a Catholic and a Democrat. His eyes just got really big, and he had this smile. Oh gosh, it was fun.
That's good. That's cool. Here it is. Caeculus, Caeculus. Thank you for that. Super little donator here. Have you seen those weird monolith things? Is it wrong to build large crosses 6 feet high and stake them in the ground on the side of the road? I have seen the monolith.
In real life?
What's that?
In real life? I just saw like an occasional picture, and it was...
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
Hearing about it, thought, what the heck is this?
Yeah, I think it's a prank.
Somebody's just doing this.
Yeah, I think it's a prank because it's the exact look and I think the exact dimensions of the monolith that appears in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
Based on the Arthur C. Clarke. So I think it's a prank.
What about that? Is it any copy thing of that thing that's in Georgia where they want to reduce population to 500 million? There's 3 columns standing out in the field, and it's
sounds creepy.
Prophetic. Do you know about this?
No.
It's been there for a while, and when you look at it, it's like the plan, and it's been there. I'm not making this up. I can't remember what it's called, but it's in Georgia, and I thought it was like 3 triangular columns or something. Like they look like the monoliths, though. Right. I didn't.
But the second question was, there's no problem with planting a cross on the side of the road. A lot of people do it, especially if maybe they've lost loved ones in a car crash. Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. If that's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one. Yeah, some people are asking for prayers of other people, and it's kind of private stuff. I don't really want to go public with private intercessions. If we could. Matt Mercier says, outrageously, if Father Altman wanted to visit Michael O'Brien in Canada, where he lives in Combermere, Ontario, you would be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So my dear mother is having cancer surgery on January 7th, and if I get on a plane and go visit her, I have to stay in a Trudeau camp for 14 days alone for a treatable, preventable, non-lethal virus.
Right.
And by the way, every death's a tragedy. I have to keep saying this. Oh, you don't care? Yeah, of course I care. Every year people die of the flu. In 2019, 1.4 million people died of TB. Okay?
Exactly.
Where were your masks?
Yeah. So I just saw this. It's like in a meme form, but it's around the world because people are wearing masks. Flu essentially has disappeared.
Yeah, no one dies of old age. There have been no deaths from old age.
But wearing your mask, COVID's still spiking.
Yep.
So, in one is suggesting masks work, and the other says they don't work.
Yeah. There's a guy called William Briggs. His handle on Twitter is called Famed Celebrity. And Briggs is a mathematician, actually. And he's the co-author of a book called The Price of Panic. One of his other co-writers, Dr. Jay Richards, was part of the summit. And I want to have him on to talk about how statisticians lie. You know, there's a great quote from Mark Twain. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Right.
People don't know the difference. What's the difference between causality and an association?
Right.
How to read what a percentage, what's a case mortality rate. And I think a lot of Hollywood, crap gets foisted on people who don't know how to break down and see a statistical fallacy.
Right. Because the case mortality rate is just so tiny. You don't destroy the world unless you want to destroy the world, unless you're using that as a means to destroy the world. Like David Rockefeller said, we just need the right crisis, and we're going to destroy the world and turn it into one world government, communist government. Mm-hmm. That was 50, 60 years ago he said that.
Yeah. Well, they have the long game.
Yes,
it's
they do. They have a very long game.
The homosexual activist movement had a long game book. It's basically their Bible. It's called After the Ball. It came out in 1989. I recommend everybody read it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's by his name is Hunter Madsen and Marshall Kirk. And the subtitle is our 10-year plan to rid America of its fear and hatred of gays. And they had metrics, they had outcomes, and so what do we do to get that? Apart from the catechism, what's our After the Ball? Do we have metrics? Do we have outcomes? Or what are we willing to do to bring Jesus Christ into public life and into people's lives?
Right.
because they have, it's like Bishop Sheen used to say about communists in the 30s to the 50s. These people are full of fire and energy and courage.
Right.
And we're half asleep.
Right.
Oh, someone's saying type the books that I mentioned. Okay. Here?
Well, it's in YouTube, but I can copy paste.
Okay, so after the ball,
I can get them from there.
Hunter and Marshall, the first two names of the authors. That'll get you there. Yep. Okay. Carl Strelo is in beautiful Adelaide, Australia. G'day, Carl.
Nice.
This is for you, Father. You ready?
Yep.
I see potential divisions between those who attend Latin Mass and those who go to the more common Novus Ordo Mass. I don't think that's healthy. What can be done to heal this rift when we need more unity than ever? Then there is the, I think the word he wants is dissent to Vatican II, that some trad Catholics don't see it as a legitimate council. So let's start with the extraordinary form versus the ordinary. It's on the ground. It seems to have set up a dual-track church that I don't like. I got the Roman, the Missal to help me with Latin Mass for Christmas. Yay! That's the mountain of ribbons. Yeah. But it's a different set of feast days. It's a different liturgical calendar. The readings are different. Is there a future hybrid? Go ahead.
Because we always had the traditional Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear stuff like that, it's always posited in such a way as, therefore there should not be the Latin Mass because it causes division.
Right.
It's never, therefore all you Novus Ordo people should get back with the program that church left behind.
Mm-hmm.
They become traditional Catholics again when 100% of people went to church and 100% of people believe in the real presence. They never couch it in those terms. It's always like the trads are bad. What I will say is, and I discovered this myself, because I didn't know better. Nobody taught me. I was just, they changed everything. They reprobated the churches and destroyed the sacred liturgy just at the time that I was supposed to be old enough to be an altar boy that memorized that long card, right, of the prayers.
Yeah.
And so I never had to learn it. And so it's called the red pill. I think we talked about this before. The term red pill. When you suddenly start reading the prayers, literally the prayers of how the church was praying for 1,000 years, and then you see what they've done to it in the Novus Ordo. They've done exactly what Bugnini said they wanted to do, which was to Protestantize it, to take anything that was a shadow of a stumbling block to a Protestant and remove it from the Catholic Church. How about you say no? Catholic Church is the Catholic Church. It's the only church Jesus started, and so we don't dumb ourselves down to their level. We raise them up. That's what dialogue is. Ecumenism isn't that we syncretize things and we all get a common, we can all agree upon and then agree to differ on the truth. So what it's, if there's in it, here's the thing. People are, when you point out error, they are convicted. And nobody likes to be convicted, therefore they react with animosity toward the person who's convicting them. And when they see people who literally are pious and holy and wouldn't dream of showing up in church in Daisy Dukes and instead wear a veil over their head, wouldn't dream of showing up in blue jeans and
flip-flops and cargo shorts.
Is that it? And wouldn't dream of waltzing up and grab and go with the Holy Eucharist. When they see that, deep down they're convicted. Like, if that's holy, I'm not. Therefore, I find that divisive because they're holy. Get down to my level of not particularly holy. You just go into a church and you can see the difference in worship. Because we go to church for worship. Protestantization is we go for fellowship. No. We've got 167 other hours of fellowship each week. No, we got 1 hour. We're there to worship God. That's why the priest is pointed toward the altar, because he's versus Deum. He's not, as opposed to he's versus God, looking at God versus looking at the people.
Yeah.
It's not fellowship we're here for. We're here for worship, and I'm the leader to lead you into worship. So where I see that this division is because you got a bunch of people down here who don't know the faith, don't know the way it was. They're arguing from a position of ignorance because they wouldn't know the first thing about the Latin Mass if it bit them in the nose. But all of a sudden, when you start actually looking at it and you read the prayers, you put them side by side. I could do this with the blessing of water, right? You know that the Book of Blessings,
Yeah, you
also
did.
known as
You did that last time. It's almost a different religion. What the words and what they intend. Yeah.
Right. So if the traditional Latin Mass lends itself to inculcating people with greater faith, greater reverence, greater hope in God, and greater faith, just reduce it to that. If it's greater faith, if that's produced in that, then the reason that there's division is because the people that don't want to put in the effort, they just want to be spoon-fed. Everybody's nice. They want Joel Osteen at the head of sitting up there in the sanctuary of a Catholic church. No, not going to happen. So yeah, that's where I see the division. Isn't that it's not the people, but if the people don't like for instance, here's one perfect example. Do I have time for this?
You do, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we had at the height before all COVID, we had 13 boys, 4 sets of 3 brothers, and then a 13th. And we had to turn servers away because you could only fit 13 into the sanctuary. Coming to serve at Mass because they and their parents wanted to serve and be part of the TLM. What I got from other people is, oh, you stole all the good servers for Latin Mass. Okay, why is that? I didn't steal it. First of all, I don't tell anybody to go anywhere. It's their choice, right?
Yeah, they vote with their feet.
They say, well, you should have those servers serve at the Novus Ordo. Listen, I can't tell you the Novus Ordo to serve at the Latin Mass. Well, how about, okay, let's do cross-training. I'll have the servers in the Latin Mass learn the far easier, very simple. But I'll also have the Novus Ordo servers learn the traditional Latin Mass. How many takers do you think I'd get? Like 0. So works of mercy, admonish the ignorant. Instruct the ignorant, admonish the sinner.
Yeah.
All people get all bent out of shape.
Yeah, it's been rebranded. All right, a couple more here.
You can do that in the Novus Ordo too, but they won't.
That's true.
Because they just want to be buds with the people. No, you're the priest. You're the shepherd. You're supposed to be leading the sheep.
Yeah. Do you remember Father? He's deceased now. He died a couple of years ago. Recently, he was a young priest, Father Daniel Witz, the son of Dr. Paul Witz. Paul Witz is a total genius. He wrote a number of books criticizing the idol that psychology has become. His most recent book is called it's called Faith of the Fatherless: How Bad or Abusive Dads Are the Main Psychological Cause of Atheism. Happens over and over and over again. So Paul and his late son, Father Daniel, wrote an article. I'll put it here. It's on liturgical abuse and priestly narcissism. And that's their, I'll just put the Witz's. Witz is the last name. Some priests, they just, with all due respect, they want to be in persona Johnny Carson.
Okay, so did you see I don't know who it is, but he produced, it's called Lowlights of the 2019 LAREC.
No.
It's 10 minutes and 25 seconds long. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but I like the title.
Oh, listen, you've got to watch it because it's a 10-minute compilation of what he terms as the train wreck of the LAREC. And that stands for Los Angeles Religious Education Congress.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And at the end of the 10 minutes and 25 seconds, the last minute or so is this guy who I seems to be a priest. He runs up on the stage. You see all these little snippets of him, and he's like signing face pictures of himself, and then he goes, and you have to watch it because even the mannerisms are so just the little ponytail thing he's got going. Okay, this is 2020. Ponytails went out quite a few.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah. And so he says, and you got to watch him, listen to him, his inflection and movement of hands And he's saying, there's a rumor out there that some people think I have a big ego. And then he goes, he does this with the finger, right? They just want to be me. I think, oh no, nobody. You are the last person I want to be. So anyway, you've got to watch
the low
it.
lights. Okay, I'll
It's
look
on
it up.
YouTube, and if you just type in "low lights" of the 2019 LAREC, I'll tell you as an example who's out. James Martin is one of the big presenters they had out there.
Of course, Father Brian Massengill. It's all super gay. It's just the biggest gay fest, and
I didn't know, but
oh no,
yeah.
it's orchestrated by Bishop.
Liturgical dancers. They have all these,
of course,
wood nymphs running around the altar.
Yeah, of course. Well, they technically should call it the Orange Religious Ed because it happens in Anaheim, which is in the boundary of Orange. Our bishop says mass all the time there. Bishop Barron and Archbishop Gomez are the leaders of this thing. This is all
he was there. Barron
cheerleading.
was there
every year. Yeah.
And you know what he said? Okay, I'm just quoting him. So he said, starting in 1997, about every other year, he would go out to that thing, the LAREC, because he liked it. And now that he's bishop out there, he gets to go every year. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah. If you could take the whole thing and put a millstone, not just a great millstone, but being as we're talking about super spreaders, a super millstone, and just throw the whole thing into the Pacific. The Catholic Church would be better off. And when you see it, that 10 minutes and 25 seconds, the guys, there's he's in white with the black background. And apparently he's well known. Somebody just sent it to me, and that's how come I even knew it existed.
They're celebs. They're priestly celeb class.
Oh, it's sickening. You wait till you see that at the last minute or so. And he's up there, he's like dancing around, and it's creepy. So show some dignity there, buddy.
I'm a little confused, Father. Did you like it or not?
Well, they call it low lights, because they normally would say highlights. Oh no, it was train wreck.
I'll definitely check it out. Father Altman, how can we go forward with hope? How would you summarize advice for people who are changing gears, leaving the chapter known as 2020, entering 2021? What's the Lord saying in your view to the church?
So here's what I think most people don't get because they haven't been told it since Vatican II. And a good way to think of it is the parable Jesus taught about the answer to any question. Look at the words of Jesus. It's going to be there somewhere. He didn't leave big gaps and unanswered questions. He didn't come to earth and suffer the passion and crucifixion to leave big open questions.
Dazed
They're
and confused.
All there. So here's one. It's the parable of rich man Dives and poor man Lazarus. And Jesus says at the end of it all, Lazarus had bad things in this life, but look at him now. He's in the arms of Abraham. Dives, however, you had really great things in your life and you were a loser, and that's why you're in the eternal fires of hell. Jesus said this, not me. So unbridgeable chasm. Those people that think, they'll just spend some time in hell and hell will go away and then they'll suddenly be angels in heaven. No, that's not the way it works. That's not what Jesus taught. So anyway, as Jesus said, we must, if we're going to be his disciples, so if you really want to be a Catholic, to be his disciple, you must pick up your cross every day. He didn't say pick up your picnic basket and meet me at the beach. No, he said pick up your cross daily. And he didn't say pick it up for 5 minutes. He said carry it every day. So here's a question they can ask themselves. What do you think life on earth is supposed to be? Is it supposed to be an oasis, or is most of the life on earth the desert? God gives us our little oases every now and then, just to like a little R&R. I had a first cousin who was a command sergeant major in Vietnam. And so he'd be in there for like a year at a time, and then they would let him go for a little R&R for 2 weeks in Australia or something. But that's not the way war is. War is, most of the time, you're in the midst of war, in danger. Look at St. Paul's, was it 1 Corinthians chapter, forget which, we go through that laundry list of all that he suffered. That's what life is. Nobody says that anymore. Yeah. Why do we have this unrealistic expectation that I have hope that life is going to be a bowl of cherries? That's what my mother always says. Life is just a bowl of cherries. She's being sarcastic. Yeah. It's not. And so our hope is, after we've carried our cross through our whole life on earth, like like Lazarus, our hope is in the next life. If we put our hope in this life, we're always going to be mad at God because this life, can I say it, sucks at times, many times. So our hope. I can't give anybody hope in this life about this life. That's not where our hope is. Our hope is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth, and he's the one that said, pick up your cross daily. And when you have endured enough daily crosses, then and only then do you have the hope of well done, my good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, because
I think people have an unrealistic expectation or a wrong, erroneous definition of what hope means, and the church has not properly told them.
I think that spills over into priesthood and to married life. The idea that, well, God wants us to be happy. And so if I'm a priest, I'll be happy. If I'm married, I'm happy. But what if you have a big argument? What if your bishop's abusive? What if you're just lonely and depressed and out of sorts? What happened to the happy thing? It's a very worldly, secularized, truncated, squashed down, flattened version of what true joy is. And true joy can coexist with suffering. True or false?
Right. Oh, absolutely true. In fact, that's where the greatest joy comes, when you suffer and you say, thank you, Lord, that I have a share in the cross. What does Paul say in his letter to the Colossians, chapter 1, the second half? I now rejoice in my sufferings. He didn't say I rejoice because I just had 2 weeks on, I don't know, what's a famous beach? Malaga? Is that a famous beach?
For what?
There must be a famous beach out where you are.
Who? By whom?
Malibu. How about Malibu? I just spent 2 weeks in Malibu on the beach.
Yeah.
No, that's not what Paul says. I rejoice in my sufferings.
Yeah, I rejoice in my sufferings. Yeah, finding meaning in suffering. Calculus asks, what do you think about E. Michael Jones? Are you familiar with his books and his magazine? I've written for the magazine. It's called Culture Wars. You can find it at culturewars.com. I've interviewed Mike 6 or 8 times and probably will again. He wrote a book in the early 90s that was huge in my life. It was assigned at Franciscan University by Father Anthony Mastroeni. It's called, I'll put this down too, Degenerate Moderns.
Okay.
And the subtitle is Modernity as, get this subtitle, Modernity as Rationalized Sexual Misbehavior.
Okay.
And it just nails so many. And then he did a follow-up book to that called Libido Dominandi. So, in a nutshell,
I think I have that.
Yeah, it's. He's
not the same guy who I appreciate. He's not the same guy that found out all about that place where they go. It's called something Bohemian Grove.
I don't know. I don't know if he's written about Bohemian Grove. Are you thinking You might be thinking G. Edward Griffin.
No. It sounds like to see Michael Jones. He said, "What's his computer? What is his online presence known as? What's his show like?"
He
doesn't
really have one. You're probably thinking of someone else.
Okay.
But G. Edward Griffin is going to be on my show. He's another tectonic shift, big cultural guy. He wrote a book called The Curse of Jekyll Island on the formation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. Very interesting stuff.
I have that here somewhere. I was just talking to somebody about it.
Yeah,
hey, did I tell you about this? How I found out in Fatima? I'm in Fatima leading a small group. Have I told you this story?
I don't think so.
There's 2 doctors, a husband and a son, and I'm leading because you can all fit in one car. Anyway, so we're walking up toward wherever the olive grove is, and there's a station. Have you been there?
I have. Fatima?
Yeah.
By God's grace, yes.
Yeah, so stationed on the cross, and then there's a fork in the road. Well, I took the right fork because the right seemed right. I haven't told you the story. Eh? So we get up to the top, and I realized, well, the numbers didn't jive for the station, so I knew I was going the wrong way. But anyway, we get up to the top, and there's that beautiful Calvary scene on the right side, and there's a chapel underneath. And so one of the doctors is way over there, and she's leaning over, talking to somebody. I'm thinking, oh, who are we possibly talking? Because nobody knows we're there. So I walk over and look down, and here's this old man and an old woman. And he sees me looking like this. He said, "Are you a Catholic priest?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, I've always wanted to ask a Catholic priest some questions." So what this doctor was doing is she was asking him where was the angel of peace, because we were trying to find where the angel of peace gave the Holy Eucharist to the children, because there's those cool statues there, right?
Yeah.
So he says, "You come down this way. We'll meet up at that fork. I'll take you to the angel of peace, and then I'll ask you some questions." Well, as we're walking, I can tell you it was October 5th, 2016. It was about a month before the election. So here we're talking about, we're in Fatima talking about theological things. We have this chance meeting. And as we start walking down the hill, he said, "You know what somebody just told me yesterday? The Federal Reserve is privately owned." Well, the two doctors looked at each other because they've heard me go on and on and on about this. And they said, "Oh, here it comes." Well, sure enough, I spent the next half hour as we're walking slowly down, explaining to this guy, this old man, he looked like Mr. Rogers, but in a blue shirt, and his wife. And then as I finish the short explanation, and he said, "Well, where I'm from, we call it Jekyll Island, not Jekyll Island."
Yeah.
Because he said, "I was born on Jekyll Island, and I know the exact club you're talking about." Isn't that amazing?
What are the
here
odds?
in Fatima, of all things, it's confirmed by somebody who literally was born where the Federal Reserve plan, the plot was hatched. Right there. I thought, boy, if that isn't confirmation right in Fatima.
Yeah, that's a whole ocean of conversation.
Jekyll Island.
It really is. Yeah, Creature of Jekyll Island. Someone wrote, you might be thinking of Alex Jones, not E. Michael Jones.
That's who I was thinking of, Alex Jones. I knew
Okay,
there was a Jones in there.
fantastic. Well, listen.
Can you hold just a second? Good night, Melon.
No, you can't. You must stay.
Good night.
Absolutely forbidden.
Bye. Thank you. So I have this thing where every night
I was just going to say you can't. I was going
to
say you can't leave. But
I know. Yeah. Well, my mother goes to bed, and I give her a hug. She's 88, and she started saying it this way: "God willing, I'll see you in the morning." So yeah, count each day as a blessing.
Yeah, each day is a blessing, 100%. Well, this has been a blessing. I just want to segue to our goodbye. I cannot believe we've gone an hour and 38 minutes. Astoundingly fast, super fast. If you're listening and you heard me talking about the Truth Over Fear Summit, you can go to restoretheculture.com. I'll just put apparently it's there. Restoretheculture.com. This is 25 doctors, experts, attorneys from 7 different countries talking about COVID-19. We're going to be having another summit, but I want you to know that there's part 2 is coming, but if you want to find out more and get all the talks, and you can download them at restoretheculture.com. You're not going to find this anywhere else. Post-event passes, yes, so restoretheculture.com. It's called Truth Over Fear. And if you join Coffin Nation, you also get a discount at the summit. So check out, I think I put it there. Let me put it again. CoffinNation.com.
I don't know where you see all this stuff. If I click on chats, does this kind of show up?
If you click on what?
I'm trying all these things you keep typing up are questions or something. I thought there was a button I would hit and suddenly it would be on the right side, like a column. I'm just not good at social media. Contrary to what some people seem to think, I am helpless.
Mark, it's calculus is Mark Casanto. What city are you from, Father? We will close with there.
I was born in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, so right on the Canadian border, right across the river from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is where I already know where my gravesite is going to be.
Oh, that's right. Well,
exactly.
Oh, Mark says, Jordan Peterson, Father James Altman, Patrick Coffin, live and uncensored. Let me know when. You know, there's a lot of insiders who are outsiders. Father James Martin. Then there's outsiders the other way. Pathogenic metaphor. It's contagious. So, can we get your priestly blessing on our team, our staff, and our listeners?
Can I just tell you picked the card twice? Twice you did it at the beginning of the show. So it's worth going back if you tuned in late. Thrilled you did, but yeah, gosh, what I saw you do out at Mike Sweeney's house. Wow. Okay.
Well,
all right.
Awesome.
Blessing on your faithful people like the dewfall. Fill them with grace to be witnesses of their faith unto martyrdom, red or white. And through the intercession of St. Tarcisius, defender of the Holy Eucharist, unto martyrdom. Through the intercession of St. Joseph, guardian of the Holy Eucharist. Through the intercession of Our Lady Queen of Heaven, Mother of the Holy Eucharist. May Almighty God bless you all, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen and amen. Awesome. That works for us.